Today, I'd like to describe stakeholder theory. In Freeman's book, stakeholder theory is described as addressing morals and values in managing an organization. From every stakeholder interest or perspective, Phillips is more concerned with integrity and defining the principle of stakeholder fairness. A stakeholder can be defined as any group or individual who can affect or is affected by achievement of the firm's objectives. Although the definition of stakeholders is quite broad, there are 5 key types of stakeholders that have been accepted widely, namely shareholders, customers, employees, suppliers, and local community. Stakeholder theory has both an ethical branch and a managerial branch. The ethical branch adopts the view that all stakeholders have certain intrinsic rights, including access to organization's information even though they are not using or affecting it, and these rights should not be violated. The managerial branch of stakeholder theory seeks to explain and predict how an organization will react to the demands of various stakeholder groups. This branch requires organizations to identify stakeholders that are important to its operations. Stakeholder theory is a tool to control the demands of various stakeholders groups. It should not only be about pursuing profits for the benefits of investors, but also about conform with the management strategy to best match resources and entities' environment. The power of stakeholders to influence corporate management is viewed as a function of stakeholders' degree of control over resources required by the organizations. The more crucial the resources that the stakeholders hold, the greater the expectation of these stakeholders. As stakeholders' influence increases, greater importance is placed on the stakeholders' resources and support, and the probability and their expectations will be incorporated within the organization's operation increases. In the event that the stakeholders hold influence of the company's resources, information should be provided and influence permitted according to the level of resources that the stakeholders contribute. If one takes a look at Toyota and the recent brake pedal recall, the subsequent events from U.S. transportation safety agencies result in 60 million in fines for Toyota for not publicly announcing the problem and hiding the fact. It would have been prudent for a large company such as Toyota to make an effort to remedy the problem and announce a recall when the problem was first noticed, which would have been long before the 2009 recall. The process would also include government safety agencies. A good example of stakeholder theory, after all. Every automaker must be responsible for the safety of their vehicles, and that includes keeping safety agencies up to date on concern or problem areas. After the recent brake pedal recall of Toyota, sales for Toyota's vehicles decreased dramatically. This illustrates the important role of stakeholders for Toyota. In my opinion, stakeholder theory alleges two purposes. Firstly, to tie up the economics and ethics. Secondly, to ensure that directors consider all stakeholders' interests when making corporation decisions and to balance the expectations of various stakeholders groups. The advantages of the theory are that it compels company to take social responsibilities and provides fairness and trust for everyone involved in the business. In doing this, companies gain more loyalty from their stakeholders, which will promote efficiency, with the result that the interests of all stakeholders are enhanced. However, A significant shortcoming of the theory is that companies find it difficult to implement stakeholder theory because it must satisfy all stakeholder groups.